You don't outgrow your database. You outgrow the decisions you didn't make in time. After roles and access are ignored, the next thing that founders start worrying about is the database, often too early and for the wrong reasons. Before I go further, a quick context. My name is Anastasia. I work as a no code product architect. I build real MVPs using tools like Adalo. Not demos, not concepts. Actual products with logic, data, and consequences. I don't help people build faster. I help them avoid decisions that become expensive later. That's why stories like this one appear in my work again and again. Recently, a founder came to me with a request that sounded very logical on the surface. I built an app. I want it to become a big product, so now I need a real database. The app was built in no code, using Adalo. They spent almost a year building it. Screens, logic, database structure. But there was one detail. The MVP was never properly tested. No real users, no validated demand, no evidence that the product actually needed to scale. The decision to upgrade the database was not driven by reality. It was driven by imagination, a business plan, a future with many users, a picture of growth that existed only on paper. And when things inside the app started feeling unstable, the conclusion felt obvious. The database is the problem. Logic started breaking. Not crashes, not bugs. Small changes stopped being small. One fix created three new problems. And instead of asking, what assumptions did we skip? The founder asked, how do we migrate this to something more powerful? He didn't want to rebuild. He wanted to migrate, to hire an expert who would just move the data, just connect a backend, just make it scalable. This is the moment where the misunderstanding becomes clear. The problem is not the database. The problem is that the architectural decision was made without evidence. You can't migrate architecture. You can only rebuild it. And you definitely can't scale something that was never validated in the first place. When I explained that the system couldn't simply be transferred, that it would need to be designed again from the database level up, the reaction was silence. Not because it was expensive, not because it would take time, but because control was gone. Before, everything felt manageable, visual, editable, under control. Now the product required things the founder didn't know how to manage: APIs, external logic, integrations, not clicks, decisions. And suddenly, it became clear. This wasn't about making the MVP better. It was about rebuilding a product that never proved it needed to exist at scale. No code didn't fail this project. Adalo didn't fail this project. The database didn't become the bottleneck. The thinking did. When you design for scale before you design for reality, complexity grows faster than understanding. And a year later, you're not scaling an MVP. You're protecting a fantasy with more infrastructure. This is why I always say, architecture doesn't start when things break. It starts before you build, before the first collection, before the first relationship, before the first workaround. There is a moment when an MVP stops being an MVP. Not when users arrive, not when money appears, but when decisions are made based on assumptions instead of evidence. And this has nothing to do with platforms, not with no code, not with databases, not with tools. It has everything to do with timing. Some decisions are cheap early and extremely expensive later. In the next video, I'll talk about the next shortcut founders often reach for when reality doesn't match expectations: AI. Why adding AI on top of unclear architecture doesn't fix the problem. It just makes it harder to see.